A delight to have you here. Happy Friday. It is the 18th and try three week eight, and we are headed back to our yellow bell work after skipping yesterday because of our exam. Now, if you haven't taken the exam, no big deal. We'll sign you up for Panther Plus next week. All right. What do humans need to take a long trip? What do you think are three things that might be helpful? All kinds of answers accepted as long as you think there would be three things that are helpful. Make sure your answers are G rated, however. All right, so today we're going to think about the evolutionary advantages there might be to migrating. And the word migrating means two separate things in biology, and today we're going to explore one of them. So we're going to brainstorm those benefits, those evolutionary benefits there might be. Then we're going to work on an assignment called Bird Migration Guided Notes. If you are in fourth period, we're going to try to head to diversity day. If people who were in fifth period, we stayed the whole time because they were cleaning up. And then we did the week in review. There's a modified week in review this week, so wait until the end of the video to do it. Let's go ahead and update our table of contents page. We have one new entry in your table of contents today, which is called Bird Migration Guided Notes. I'm going to go ahead and pull up that assignment for when the time comes. So where have we been in this class, right? We started by thinking about genetic diversity within one species, whatever that might be. And we used examples like pigeons and guinea pigs and pea plants and cows and all these different animals thinking about genetic difference and diversity. And then we thought about species diversity, right? This idea that within one species, there are changes that happen based on many factors, and that's part of why we have so many different types of species. So we're going to head back again to ecosystem diversity. Remember, we did like a little forerunner week as we got ready to think about ideas about natural selection. I wanted to make sure you had those ideas. But we're going to come back into combining all three of these ideas together, specifically species diversity and ecosystem diversity. So I don't know what you listed for humans needing to take a long trip, all kinds of stuff, right? Do animals take long trips? Yeah, they do, right? There are several meanings of the word migrate or migrating. So this is an example of migrating. Migrating can mean like birds that fly south for the winter and then come back to North America, butterflies who fly south and come back, or in the Serengeti, where we have lions and zebras and wildebeest are here. So the zebra and wildebeest actually rotate. They're in different places in the preserve at different times of year because they follow where the food sources are. So there's this huge migration that happens. That's an example where animals are moving in a way that is consistent depending on the season. There's another word that migrating can mean, and it could mean like where people are moving to or going from. Humans migrate. Humans have been migrating the whole time there have been humans. We've got a lot of stories of living things of all types changing their range and immigrating and emigrating. I'm sorry if this hits close home to you, but the New York Times just made this really beautiful animation about some of these ideas. They used data from Facebook and Instagram because a lot of people have Facebook and Instagram. And hopefully you're able to see this magnificent picture that's coming up. They were able to track where people move, and they have data about it in different times in different places. Some of our classmates have experienced what it means to leave when there is war or conflict. So that's like one example. So migration can mean both of those things, both people changing where they live or living things changing the area where they live long term, but also moving back and forth throughout a year. And that's what we're thinking about together today, this type of migration. So this is the northern plover. It's the goodwit rather. And even if you can't really hear the audio, this animal is the champion of migratory birds. So every autumn and spring, it flies 9 straight days without pausing for food or water or sleep. And like it's got some really interesting things it does to be able to do that. For example, it eats so much it gets to twice its normal body weight before taking off, and it burns it all in flight. And also during flight, it can shut down about half its brain to save energy, which is pretty wild to think about. These birds, they're pretty cute. Along the East Asian Australia flyway, there are about 146,000 of these animals. There they are. And they play a really important role in the ecosystems in both places. But numbers are declining as industry encroaches on their natural habitat in the places where they live in the summer and in the winter, right, where they go back and forth. And so people are working with Chinese partners to save the wetlands for these birds. It's a really important idea. So we thought together in class about why birds would do that and what might be the benefit of migration and why the birds fly together. And what we ended up doing was learning more. Now, this is in the Canvas for today. So what you're going to do is watch this video. I would strongly like to suggest that you take the settings and you put the playback speed at 1.25. I think that's the right speed to watch this video. And you'll get to the point where we get some information here, somewhere around the 20-second mark. So after you watch that video, you're going to head back to use that video in the bird migration assignment. We've gone ahead and given you the place in the video where the answers are. This should not be terribly difficult. We don't think it should take you terribly long. But at the end, you're going to have, we hope, a really good understanding about what migration is for birds and some of the things that birds do and where birds fly in North America, stuff like that. Just an introduction to the story. We did some missing and late work, and then here's the week in review. So I'm going to ask you to do this week's week in review about all of Unit 5, which began with the 5 fingers and ended with thinking about lizards and trees and speciation. So all of that stuff about change over time is Unit 5. So you can answer questions like, what were the most important things you learned? What questions do you still have? What work do you need to finish as soon as possible so that you are ready to do the retake or that your grade is higher? And then like the vocab words, you're going to need 5 vocab words. I'm going to say that here with 5 vocab words. It's going to be great. Yay. All right, that's it for me. I hope you have a really great weekend. Please turn in your missing assignments when you come back to class. We'll see you soon. Take care out there. Bye.